Hi, folks. How you doing today? Welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Dave. That's Scott. And today we're going to do a review on My Man Godfrey. 1936, I believe.
Yes,
1936. I am so
1936.
good. Pre-code, if I'm not mistaken. And it stars one of our favorite actors of the time, William Powell, Carol Lombard,
Mhm.
Alice Brady, who was the mom. Jesus, that woman's just a genius. Gail
She's good.
Patrick was the sister.
Oh God.
Eugene Pallett
Oh
was
man, I have
Alexander
seen
Bullock.
him
That's the
before.
dad.
Yeah.
That guy kills me. That guy, I've seen him in other stuff around this time period, of course. And he always plays the same guy. He's always got that voice. He's always got this big rotund. He's always going to punch somebody.
He's yeah.
Jean Dixon was Molly, was the maid. Alan Mowbray was Tommy Gray. That was his friend, the guy who shows up at the worst possible time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Misha Auer
Oh
was
my God.
Carlo.
What the fuck is a Carlo?
Carlo was
Mom's
Mama's
protege.
protege. That's
Oh
Mother's
my God.
protege. Uh,
Oh,
there are just a bunch of other actors that are in here that are all pretty good, but those are the
dude.
main. That's the main
I
cast.
I have to spit
Take
this
it
out
away.
before I forget it.
Do it.
Carlo. Carlo. There is a scene in this movie that just had me on the fucking floor, and it is the exit of Carlo from the estate by Dad. It all happens off screen. You hear the noise, and he has thrown Carlo out the freaking window.
I love that you bring that up because that's all you hear is the shattering glass, the wood splintering. You don't even hear Carlos make a sound. You hear like a punch. You hear
Yeah, you know what's
shattered
going
smash.
He's
And
left
then
through
the
the
man
window.
comes back in, like shaking his hand, rubbing his knuckles. Been a long time since I punched somebody like that, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's one of two of the funniest scenes.
Well, I
And
think he's
both of
asked,
the funny scenes are off camera.
I think he was asked, "Where's Carlo?" It's like, "Oh, he left through the window." You know.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yeah.
But the other really funny scene that happens off screen is the horse. What horse? The horse in the library. And the dad opens up the door and
Oh
you hear,
yes.
and he just shuts the door. He's like, "Why is there a horse in the library?" They don't show the horse because that wouldn't be as funny. It's the
No.
reaction that he has when he just shuts the door and turns around and looks like, why are my daughters killing me? They're trying to kill me.
This is a cool movie. This movie follows two spoiled rich socialites who oh my God, it you see it right off the bat at the beginning of
Yeah,
this movie. They're on this scavenger hunt and they have to find a homeless man, a forgotten man. And they
forgot
go
me.
down to the dump, and that's where they find William Powell, Godfrey. Um, I love how he treats the older sister,
Oh,
because
right off
she
the
just
bat,
thinks
he doesn't like
she
her.
comes down there throwing her money, trying to get him to come along, and thinks $5, and he just shoves her ass right in a pile of ash.
What what you have to understand, folks, is this is happening during the depths of the Depression in America.
Mhm.
Supposed to be, I guess, in the 20s.
Yeah,
Maybe around the 30s, but I think it's supposed to be a little bit
yeah,
earlier. Um, and there were literally what was created now in certain cities was actually happened as a natural cause then with people living in tents. And the older sister, like you said, is on a scavenger hunt. The younger sister is trying to beat her to the scavenger hunt. And the fact that she is throwing her money around, she is acting like an asshole.
hmm
Godfrey doesn't like that. And he's
nope.
smart enough to know that she's an asshole.
Oh yeah,
Like you said, he pushes her in the dirt. And then Carol Lombard is still standing there. And he turns around, he almost runs into her, if I remember correctly. He turns around and she's like right there. He's like, "Now what are you doing?" And she starts backing up and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to be thrown into a pile of ash." And she's like, "I guess I'll just leave." And she's such a ditzy, beautiful airhead in this that as she's starting to try and just go away, he's like, "Well," she says something like, "I've never won anything, but I'm glad my sister's not going to win this one." And he's
yeah,
like, "Wait, you mean if you bring me to this,
yeah. He
this
gets
hotel?"
intrigued by what is going
Yeah.
on here. What is this?
Yeah, and she's like, "Yeah, I can win this." And he's like, "Okay, let's go." And he goes with the younger sister. And that's one of my favorite scenes is when he's there and they're like, "Oh, Godfrey, blah blah blah, come on up." And then some asshole in the crowd of these multimillionaires cries out, "Speech!" And Godfrey, oh my god, he just destroys every millionaire there. Like, I just wanted to see that this lovely young lady, what a bunch
Mhm.
of pompous, arrogant windbags do for for the day. And everybody's just like, and the
Like,
dad
how
had
dare
left.
he?
Dad probably would have hired him on the spot,
Probably.
if he'd heard that. But he leaves. He finally just walks out. And he bumps into the sister, I think, on the way out again,
Mhm.
the older sister. Um, and as he's leaving, Carol Lombard says, "Well, I want you to be my protege," or something like that. Or I
Yeah,
want you to
she's
come
got
work
this
for
weird
us.
idea of
Yeah.
having him because her mom, who's a drunk,
Oh yeah.
she has got let's call it what it is. She's got a little boy toy,
Yeah.
um, that she is
But I don't think
her.
she actually does anything with
Well, I
him.
don't know. He's just her protege because he's like going to be some famous musician, and she's sponsoring him, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
whatever, it's just really weird. You could tell right away. This is a damn folks. I'm sorry. This is a great setup because all these characters are written so well. You know instantly that Carlo is a deadbeat and he
Oh
is
yeah.
milking it for everything. I love him playing this horrible song like he's
Oh,
so heartfelt and yeah, and like there's like his emotions are he's so tender. Oh, you'll upset Carlo or whatever. It's like, oh my
and
god, he's playing it,
it's
man.
always the same bit of music that he's been playing all the whole time, and the father's finally getting tired of that shit.
Oh yeah,
Uh, I like she brings him home, she makes him their butler, and he basically knows how to buttle. He meets the maid. The maid is like, "Well, I'll leave your hat and coat and your suitcase by the door."
you
And he's
get
like,
everything. Yeah,
"Why? Why would you do that? I just got here." She's like, "Yeah, well, you're not gonna last." And she hasn't even looked up at him yet. They're talking for like 3 minutes
yeah.
before she finally looks up at him. And then she's like, check him out, like, "Oh my." And she's like, "Okay, I'll go with you. This you take the food here, you do this over here." And he for the first person he goes in to see is the mom with the breakfast, and he fixes her a drink for her hangover, and she sees little fairies all over the beds
Oh
or
yeah.
pixies some shit, and he gives her the hangover drink, and she's like, "Oh, the pixies are going away. This is great." And he just kind of shrugs and like takes a deep breath and walks out. He's like, "Okay, that's weird, but all right." He goes over to the older daughter's room first, and she's just yelling at him, "Get out of here, get out of here," because I don't think she recognized him yet. I don't think the
Yeah.
the oldest daughter had recognized him, and she kicks him out. And then Carol Lombard's character, Irene, it's her
Yeah.
turn. He's got to take some food or something up to her, and that's when she wants him to sit down on the bed, and he's like, "I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
That's a little too." She's like, "No, no," and the way she delivers her lines, she's such a sweet. She kind of reminded me of Luna Lovegood. Like if Luna
Mm.
Lovegood was a multi-billionaires, but still had a good heart,
Yeah.
no, there was no, she sees good and bad and that's it, but everybody's good anyway, so I don't care, kind of thing. That's kind of the character that Carol Lombard reminded
Oh
me
yeah.
of. And she's just she's just thrown herself at
She's the exact
Godfrey. And
opposite of her older sister. And you
yeah,
can
yeah.
you can see the rivalry. It gets set up from the very beginning.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Right off.
poor Irene is so naive. And is it Cornelia? Was that or is that the
Cornelia.
mom?
Okay.
Cornelia, yeah, yeah, Cornelia was just vindictive.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
She could
she's
not
just
stand to see her sister get ahead. One of the things I like about this movie is there's some lessons here.
oh yeah, the whole thing is one big lesson without being beat over the head.
It's really well done. You find out through the course of this movie where Godfrey came from, one of the
Yeah,
wealthiest families out there.
in Boston.
And he felt so bad that his people under him had lost so much money during the depression that he went to
Mhm.
kill himself. But he found salvation at the dump, and then he
Well,
finds
it
it
was
again
also
in
the
this
girl.
rich family. Yeah.
Yeah, the girlfriend that he had at the time, plus the family treated
Mm.
just like there's like a lot of stuff just piled on. And
Oh,
he
there's
went
a
to New
lot
York to kill himself.
when his story comes out, you're like, damn,
Yeah. Yeah.
damn.
Like you're like, shit. But he's sitting there and he's talking to everybody and he brings his buddy, the buddy who recognizes him at a party and almost gives up the ghost.
Oh,
He's
dude,
almost like,
that was like, oh
he almost
shit.
gives it all away. He's like, well, I used to work for Mr. So and so, and he was
Hmm.
kind enough to let me go, and blah blah blah. So they're talking, and he takes him to the dump. He takes his friend to the dump and says, I see potential here. And the guy's like, what do you mean? I don't get it. He goes, well, I'm going to ask you to do something you're not used to doing. I want you to think, And his friend is like getting insulted. He just insults this guy all the time, but that's their friendship,
Yeah, yeah.
The guy doesn't even take it personally all that much. He
Oh.
just like, please stop insulting me, kind of thing. But he explains his plan to his friend. And his friend is like, well, where are you going to find all these people? And he's like, well, they're all right here. All the people that we need are here.
Hmm.
And he introduced him to an older guy in the dump. And he goes, do you know who that is? And the guy's like, no, just some bum. He goes, no, that's so and so from the Third National Bank. That when the
You find out
guy's like,
all
well,
those people
you
down there
went
were like
bankrupt.
bankers.
He goes, yeah. He goes, but the reason he went bankrupt is because he gave all of his money to the depositors and to
Hmm.
his people that worked for him. He goes, that guy lost everything, so other people wouldn't.
Yeah,
That's what that guy was willing to do. And this guy's looking at him like, wow,
yeah.
how did you know this? He goes, because unlike you, I listen when people talk or something like that.
I
Again,
know
he's just
that's the thing
insults
I
his
love.
friend
The
the whole
whole
time.
movie is that, man. The whole movie are these back and forths. And William Powell, as I learned in watching The Thin Man,
Yeah.
is man, he can deliver some lines. He has a
Oh.
presence. I love William Powell. Now here's the thing. I'm watching this movie and I'm like, who is this wonderful actor? I feel like I've seen him before.
Yeah, he plays the same guy without playing the same guy.
Exactly.
It's the amazing thing. Like when you see him in like the Kennel Murder Case or one of the Thin Man movies, he's kind of the same guy,
Yeah.
but he's a different guy. I don't know how to put it. His the character seems very familiar, but it's not the exact same character. One of the things is Carol Lombard was his ex-wife at the time he did
Really?
it.
I did not
And
know that.
he wanted to work with her because as he told, I guess, the director or whatever, when he read the script, he said, you got to get Carol. And they're like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, we got to do this together because their relationship was very much like those two characters. Like
That's
that was
wild.
their kind of relationship that they
Oh,
had.
damn.
He goes, for whatever reason, I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why they ever divorced or whatever. But he said that's especially in the beginning, that was our relationship. So she's going to get this character. And evidently I guess they must have been friends up until the day they died, when
Yeah.
one or the other passed away. But I thought that was really interesting that you're still close enough to an ex-wife that you're like, no, you got to go get her because she's really good and she can play the part. And they
Mhm.
were friends, obviously, to play it, to for her to go, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
deal
Well,
with
it
it.
it worked.
And
It worked, and you
yeah,
know what?
and
That
the
gives a
chemistry.
layer that really adds to their
Yeah,
screen presence.
that chemistry that they had is undeniable there.
Mhm.
Just absolutely undeniable. Um, there was something else. Maybe I'm making it up. Oh no, this is just something kind of silly. The background footage from the dump
Mhm.
would actually be seen opposite. It's on the wrong
Oh.
side.
Oh.
They of where they're supposed to be at looking, they should have been
Right.
on the other side of the river looking back.
Oh, okay.
They should have been on the good side of the town
That's a odd little bit of trivia.
or
Yeah.
whatever. It's
Yeah,
just one of those little things that as I was
but
scrolling
what
through.
I really liked about this movie is how it all wraps up.
Yeah,
How how the
yeah,
older sister's vindictiveness actually saves everybody. She didn't
yeah. In the
realize
long
it.
run, it does.
Yeah.
There's a scene, folks, where the family that he's been with, that he's been their butlering, um, the dad has lost everything,
Mhm.
almost everything. He's like, we got the house and a couple of
They're
bucks, and that's
bankrupt.
about it. And he's just coming in. That's when he kicks Carlos out of the house, and he's just telling him, we got nothing. He goes, I don't know what, you guys have bankrupted me.
Yeah.
I've tried to do this, I tried to do that. If I don't wind up in prison, he goes, I'm hoping I go to prison just to get a break from you guys, kind of thing.
Well, they
That's where he
show
really
him
started that.
throughout the movie constantly writing checks for his daughter's
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah. And trying to just make his company, keep it solvent. And earlier on, Godfrey's talking to him when he's, serving breakfast. He says, "Hey, is there anything that I can do to help?" And the guy's like, "No, Godfrey, I don't need your help." He's not rude to him. He's just like, he's not a guy who asks anyone for help, and he won't accept it. So William Powell's character is like, okay, just, I used to dabble in the stock market. I'm good. And he leaves, and you don't really think too much about it until the dad has gone bankrupt, and he's just sitting there like, Christ, what am I going to do? I'm going to prison because I tried to. He didn't embezzle. There was something else,
Yeah.
but he would have been charged for embezzlement. He was just trying
Yeah.
to keep the company going. And Godfrey walks out, and he's got this envelope. He's like, well, here, I want you to have this. And the guy's reading it. And he's like, you sold short or bought short or whatever. He's like, Godfrey was buying all the stocks this guy was dumping.
Yep.
And the guy's like, you were making money like while I was losing it? He
Yep.
goes, well, if you look on there, they've all been signed over to you. All the stocks it's still your company. And the guy's practically in tears. This is a big, tough ex-Marine army guy, used to be a boxer. He's just he's a guy. And he's about ready to cry. He's like, what? Why? Why would you do this? He goes, because I've had hard times. I know what it's like. And then he goes around like to everybody in the family, like, well, I learned patience from you. And I learned this from the mom. I learned this from the oldest daughter. Is like, well, what did you learn from me? I'm just such a bad person. He's like, well, I learned from you what arrogance can do to a person and what, basically being self-centered is. He goes, he was still learning whenever he got there. So this was a nice scene with those two. And she's about ready to start crying. Right there, I think she was in love with him the whole damn time and just
Well, that's what's funny. He leaves awake. We have Irene, we have the sister, we have everybody loves Godfrey. The maid is just distraught.
The maid is I love the scene where he leaves and the maid is crying, and then Carol Lombard's character comes in and she's like, oh my God, he's gone, and they're comforting each other. There's no animosity that that's my man. No, that's my man.
No, it's
just comforting the other one because their boyfriend left.
It's sweet. I liked this. I know the writers of Trading Places looked back and started to get some inspiration of a fish out of water on Wall Street for this. So not the same story, but it gave me the vibe.
This is a movie that I've watched this movie a few times, and that's why I wanted you to see it, because I didn't think you had seen it before.
Nope.
The writers are Morty Riskund, Eric Hatch, and Zoe Atkins, who was uncredited, evidently. I just wanted to get their names out there because they are great writers.
Yeah, this is well done.
By Gregory LaCava. But what I was going to say is this movie, every time I watch it, even from the very first time, I have this big dumb grin on my face. And I realized it the other day because I'm just sitting there watching it. I'm just smiling like through the whole movie. Like, this is so great. And now I know what's going to come. I know the next step, and I'm waiting for it. And it never gets old. Like, I could probably go back and watch it right now, and I would just sit there and be like zoned in on it. It's well written, really well acted. Of course, I mean, if you just look at the people that are in there and the cast, they're all phenomenal.
Well, let me add something to that. It's like you said, you can just put it on and you're there. A lot of times with older movies that I have no clue about or whatever, I'm thinking, okay, so I'm just going to break this up so I can do something else. And we got plenty of time to watch this.
Right.
I couldn't stop this one. So I just kept on going. Yeah. And so I love that. So I was like, okay, you got me. That was good.
Great. It's freaking great.
Good one. Good one. I definitely recommend it.
Yes. I recommend watching this movie, especially if you like old movies. But if you love Carol Lombard, to the best of my knowledge, she mostly did like fairly serious stuff.
Mhm.
She did do a lot of comedies, I know that, but I know she did a lot of serious stuff. So when you watch her in a serious role and then you watch her in something like this, you're like, is that
She's
is
got
that even the
range.
same person?
Yeah.
This is a completely different way of acting. And William Powell, I've seen
What
him play a bad guy in some stuff, and he
Ah,
plays a really good bad guy. And he used
I'm
to do a
sure he
lot of
does.
bad guy roles back in the day before he started. He just
Well, he's got that look.
did
He can
like
go
one
either
good
way with that. Yeah.
yeah, he did one good role of, a romantic comedy, and that was it. That was like, "Yep, you're not a villain anymore."
No.
And I was like, "Yeah, dude,
Well,
you have a whole second
after
career."
seeing him in The Thin Man with Myrna Loy and seeing how
Right.
he can just have that banter with somebody, and here we come in with Carol. It's different, but their chemistry is good, and it's just like
Yeah,
it's everything fits. I don't doubt that they're together or could be.
right, right,
It's well done. I like this movie. My only complaint would be, and this is just me nitpicking, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the movie, just the service it was on. I watched it on Tubi and it was
right.
colorized. And I'd much prefer
Yeah,
to see it in black and white because well, yes, I get the reason for the colorization. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't a
right.
bad colorized job, but I think it takes away from some of the cinematography
Mhm,
because we've changed some of the lighting now and everybody's
right.
dressed and made up for black and white film and lighting and stuff. So some things just feel a little different, makes it feel weird. Um, well,
This
that's
is the
really
first time
nitpicky.
this is the first time I ever watched it colorized.
Mhm.
There is a way around that.
Yes,
Go to
there's a
your camera
way,
settings
and
and just turn your goddamn
yeah,
color
I'd
down.
rather have it restored as nice crystal clear 4K. Black and white would be nice, but yeah, I know
Just
people that do that. Hey,
I did that with the Munsters, the movie The Munsters that we watched. It was
yeah,
so bright, and I think he purposely did all that because he was gonna make it black and white,
right, because
because when you turn it
you
black
have to
and white
set it that way, yeah.
yeah, when you turn the Munsters black and white, it looks right. It looks like
Mhm,
that's how it's supposed to be.
and I
Why
think
they
that's
didn't just
true.
let him do it, I couldn't tell you what
That's
they're thinking.
Hollywood for you.
But
That's all. I
this
liked the
movie
Munsters.
this movie is yeah, the just watch it. It's funny, it's
This is
romantic,
good.
comedy, it's everything that you want. It's everything that you want in a movie. Good guy, not necessarily a bad guy, but a good antagonist,
Mhm.
with the sister. Um, yeah, it's great. Yes, watch it, watch it. Oh,
Awesome.
real quick, those opening credits. What did you think about the opening
I
credits?
really like the opening credits. Thank you
I
for saying that.
love
I
that.
meant to mention that. It's you see the city skyline and written on
Mhm.
the buildings in perspective are the names and the
Yeah,
actors. So this is something you're going to see throughout the history of TV and movies of doing that. In
right,
fact, Money Back Guarantee that I did with Primo Brown, that's his credit style at the very beginning, is
right,
putting people
right.
on the sidewalk on the building and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I love that style. It's really cool.
Yeah. I just loved how and the lights on the paint because this is basically a painting. It's a big matte
Yeah.
painting, maybe two or three put together.
Yeah.
They had a little bit of depth in it, but it's all done really well.
It
And
is. It
lights
is.
are shining, and people's names are up on the billboards. I just think that is so. I think that we've lost that in this day and age, and
We've lost a lot of art in this day and
I'd
age.
like to see somebody bring that kind of thing back into credits. The beginning, the opening
Absolutely.
credits, and the closing credits.
Absolutely.
They
Well,
seem
you mentioned that, and I'm just going to throw this out here because I just started tonight. Since I'm an
Mhm.
avid video gamer, there's a game in the Yakuza series that just came out called Infinite Wealth, like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. And I
Right.
just started playing before the show. So I just got through the intro credits, and it's set up like a 70s sitcom with the
Oh,
happy
no.
music and the title
No.
cards and the names and little funny poses. And it's like, I'm going to have to send it to you because I thought it was bloody brilliant to see that.
That's
So it's like
freaking
some
fantastic.
people have artistic ideas. So,
That's good. Seems like video gamers have more artistic ideas, more
you
they're
know,
more into the
the same bullshit happens on that
Mhm.
spectrum as it does the movies because actually games make more money than movies. So I'm
Right,
surprised that there's because they pump 2 to 300 million into a game. So it's
right.
just and they do the same recycling of shit over and over. So it's nice when somebody does something fresh,
That's
So
nice,
it's the
that's
same
nice.
thing
Thank
with
you.
any media. I'm sure it's that
Yeah.
way with books as well. But we talk about that, and yeah, while the 2020s, oh my god, the 20s that we're in now, um, is pretty boring with a lot of media, with a lot of movies, with a lot of TV, with a lot of music. Everything is so
Crap.
repetitive. It's great to go back almost a
Mhm.
100 years to the well and see where it started to begin. And man, you see sparks of genius back here watching this stuff.
To get good storytelling. I don't think Hollywood, not in my opinion, has told a good story in 30, 40 years. And
There's some
I
out
mean
there
a
we just
really good
can't
story.
think of, but yeah.
Avengers was entertaining. All that Avengers stuff, entertaining.
I don't even get to start with me on comic book. They have their place.
Yeah,
They
but
have their place. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm hard pressed. Like I don't usually watch too much American television. Any new stuff? The newest thing I can think of right now was The Good Place,
Oh, The
and
Good
it's been
Place was phenomenal. But you
yeah,
look at it, what did The Good Place had very little special effects. I mean, it
mhm,
had some,
right,
um, but it was a very human story that drew us in. All
right,
those different characters, all those different
right,
archetypes, and you see that in these older movies where focus is on the characters, focus is on the story, not on a message,
exactly,
not on an explosion, not on the latest CGI
exactly.
monster. Um,
Yep,
Storytelling got lost somewhere in the way. So.
storytelling. Go back to storytelling. I think pretty soon we're going to see in this country, in the West, in the Western world.
Mm.
I think all of Hollywood is collapsing right now. I really do. I don't see Hollywood being the powerhouse that it once was.
Right.
But I do think you're going to see a lot of independent filmmakers and Hollywood becoming a distributor for them. You know what I mean?
Well, they kind of
I
already do. Like they have all these off. I forget what A24 is
A24
under,
and
and
stuff like that.
they grab some of the more indie things and
Mhm.
stuff. So it's
But I
yeah,
think
we're
it's going to get where it's easier. It's going to be big kitty.
sorry.
It's going to be easier, I think, for somebody. It's still difficult, but I think it's going to be easier in comparison for somebody to do a an independent film
Mhm.
and get it distributed. It'll be difficult to some extent, but that's something you and I need to talk about. I think off
Yeah.
here a little bit because we were talking at one point. But it's interesting to see what can be done
Hmm.
and what's going to happen. And I hope some of the people in Hollywood that went the way of the dodo or are on their way out that are actually talented and aren't meeting the criteria or giving
Yeah.
the message. Um, I hope they start doing their own thing. I
Hmm.
really do. I hope they start making little studio
Well,
pieces,
so
little
many are, so many are. You look at God, Stephen Wynn or Young. I may not be pronouncing his
Mhm.
name right, and I apologize. From Walking Dead, he had trouble getting roles because who's going to hire an Asian? So he made his own
Right.
studio. And I'm horrible with names right now. I'm trying to think who's the new Captain America. He just opened a studio for himself.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Who
I cannot
like the
remember the
one from
actor's
the
name, and
Avengers?
not
Is
Chris
there another
Evans,
one?
but the one who was the Falcon, but who's now Captain America, picked up the shield.
Oh,
He's
American
you
Falcon?
know you know who I'm talking about.
That movie's gonna be bad.
Yeah, probably, but he started his own studio, and I think that's great. I
He
like
should've.
seeing these actors go do this
Yeah.
stuff. Um, yeah, so
Yeah,
they have to
he
take that
definitely
model.
needed to because he is a good actor. He
Mhm.
is a good actor. I think this was a bad vehicle for him. That's just a
I
personal
think so.
opinion. I probably won't ever see the movie.
Anthony Mackie, that's
He
his
should
name.
have just been the Falcon,
Yeah, I agree.
but
I
that's me.
agree. But
Should
that's
have
a whole
just
nother
been,
thing. My Man
you know,
Godfrey, folks. Go check it out. William Powell, Carol Lombard. Good flick. It's fun.
very
Watch
good,
it on
very funny.
Tubi. Uh,
Yeah,
it's out there for free. So
turn down the color if you want to watch it in black and white.
yeah, exactly. Hit the like, hit the share, and hit the subscribe. And thanks again to all our listeners, new and old, who still put up with our incessant rambling about nonsense. And we will catch you next week. If I can
Next
speak,
week,
next week.
we talking to
Yeah. Anyway, we'll catch you next week and see you then.
Have a good one.